The world watched in disbelief and anticipation as the United States launched Operation Absolute Resolve in Venezuela, a bold and controversial mission targeting President Nicolas Maduro. U.S. forces struck swiftly in Caracas, breaching the heavily guarded Miraflores presidential palace under the cover of darkness. In a matter of hours, they captured Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores, with surprisingly little resistance from loyalist forces. This marked a dramatic and sudden end to Maduro's rule, a regime long accused by Washington of corruption, election fraud, and widespread human rights abuses. Images of U.S. military vehicles rolling through the heart of Caracas stunned the world, signaling not just a change in leadership, but the beginning of a new and uncertain era for Venezuela. Maduro was quickly transported out of the country, first by helicopter to the U.S.A. Iwo Jima stationed off the Venezuelan coast, then flown under heavy guard to Guantanamo Bay, and finally to New York, where he would face the full weight of the American justice system. Now held at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, Maduro faces sweeping federal charges of narcoterrorism and drug trafficking, charges that have been years in the making. The U.S. accuses him of running a vast cartel that used state power to ship narcotics across continents, fueling violence and instability far beyond Venezuela's borders. His capture is a bold statement from Washington, but it has also sent shockwaves through countries wary of U.S. intervention, raising questions about sovereignty and the reach of American power. The operation's speed and secrecy left little room for loyalist resistance, and Caracas streets fell eerily quiet in the aftermath. As Maduro awaits trial, the world is left to grapple with the consequences of this unprecedented U.S. action, debating its legality, its morality, and its long-term impact on global politics. The message is clear: Washington is willing to act decisively, and even unilaterally, against regimes it deems a threat, reshaping the rules of international engagement. Pyongyang watched the U.S. operation in Venezuela with alarm. North Korea, a close ally of Maduro's regime, saw his capture as a warning. Within hours, Kim Jong-un ordered the launch of multiple ballistic missiles, a direct signal to Washington. The message: North Korea is not Venezuela. By showcasing its advanced weaponry, Pyongyang warned the U.S. that any similar action would provoke a far more dangerous response. The missile launch broke a 2-month pause, underscoring North Korea's resolve. For Kim, Maduro's fall reinforced the belief that only military power, especially nuclear weapons, can guarantee survival. The launch was a calculated act of defiance, grabbing global attention and forcing the U.S. and its allies to reconsider the risks of confrontation. North Korea's message was unmistakable: an attack on our friends is an attack on us. The world took notice. On January 4th, North Korea once again captured the world's attention by launching a series of missiles from a site near Pyongyang, under the cover of darkness. The missiles soared eastward, arcing over the Korean peninsula before plunging into the Sea of Japan, a region already fraught with tension. South Korean and Japanese defense forces quickly detected and tracked the projectiles, which traveled up to 950 kilometers, well within striking distance of both nations, and a stark reminder of their vulnerability. North Korean state media boasted that these were hypersonic ballistic missiles, representing a significant leap in their military technology. Hypersonic weapons are not only incredibly fast, but also highly maneuverable, making them extremely difficult to intercept with current defense systems. This new capability poses a serious and growing challenge to U.S. and allied missile defense networks, forcing them to reconsider their strategies. By carefully selecting a flight path that avoided directly crossing over Japanese territory, North Korea managed to avoid an extreme provocation that could have triggered a much stronger response. Yet, the missiles still landed within Japan's exclusive economic zone, sending a clear and deliberate message to Tokyo and the international community. This act was a blatant violation of international norms and United Nations resolutions, drawing swift condemnation from global leaders. For Japan, it was not just a diplomatic issue, but a direct and immediate threat to national security, prompting heightened military readiness. The launch was a calculated move. A show of strength designed to intimidate, but carefully measured to avoid outright war. Militaries and intelligence agencies around the world took note of North Korea's technological progress, analyzing every detail of the test. North Korea's message was unmistakable: we have the power to strike at will, and the world may not be able to stop us, no matter how advanced their defenses may be. North Korea made no secret of its motives. The regime's intentions were broadcast loud and clear, both to its own people and to the world beyond its borders. State media linked the missile launch directly to the U.S. operation in Venezuela, condemning it as an attack on sovereignty. The message was unmistakable: any perceived threat to allied nations would be met with forceful resistance. Kim Jong-un declared the tests were preparations for actual war, signaling a new level of seriousness. This was not just a show of strength, but a calculated move to demonstrate readiness for conflict at any moment. This rhetoric went beyond posturing. Kim was warning the world that North Korea is ready for real conflict. The international community took notice, as the tone from Pyongyang grew more urgent and uncompromising. The fall of Maduro provided the perfect justification for heightened alert and military buildup. North Korea seized the moment, using global instability as a pretext to escalate its own defenses. Kim used the crisis to rally domestic support and justify massive spending on weapons. Propaganda campaigns intensified, painting the U.S. as an imminent threat and uniting the population behind the leadership. The message to the U.S.: North Korea is not a passive target, but a nation on a war footing. Every move was calculated to project strength and resolve, both regionally and globally. The psychological impact was clear. Washington, Seoul, and Tokyo were forced to reconsider their strategies. Allies scrambled to reassess their military postures and diplomatic approaches in the face of North Korea's escalation. Kim's words and missiles serve as a deterrent, drawing a line he dares the U.S. to cross. Each launch was a calculated risk, meant to test the resolve of adversaries and keep them guessing. The fate of Maduro is a warning Kim is determined to avoid. He watched events in Venezuela closely, determined not to let North Korea become the next target of foreign intervention. North Korea's aggressive posture is both a shield and a threat. It is a strategy designed to deter attack, but also to remind the world of the risks of confrontation. The world is left to wonder how far Kim is willing to go, and whether his threats are a bluff or a prelude to something far more dangerous. The missile launch triggered immediate alarm across the region. South Korea's president convened an emergency security meeting, condemning the launch as a violation of UN resolutions. Japan's defense minister called it a direct threat, especially since the missiles landed in Japan's exclusive economic zone. Emergency alerts were issued, and Japan lodged a formal protest with Pyongyang. The U.S. Indo-Pacific Command downplayed the immediate threat but reaffirmed its commitment to defend its allies. Behind the scenes, military readiness was heightened and intelligence focused on North Korea. The launch forced the U.S. and its allies to recalibrate their approach to Pyongyang. The crisis underscored the persistent danger of North Korea's missile and nuclear programs. Each test is a reminder of the region's vulnerability. The world is watching for the next move. The stakes have never been higher. The challenge from Pyongyang cannot be ignored. Analysts agree, the timing of North Korea's launch was no accident. The message: North Korea is not Venezuela, it has nuclear weapons to deter regime change. The launch was aggressive deterrence, showing Kim's willingness to use his arsenal. Any attack on North Korea would trigger devastating retaliation. The test also sent a signal to China, just as South Korea's president prepared for a summit in Beijing. Pyongyang reminded Beijing it cannot be controlled and warned against closer ties with Seoul. The use of hypersonic missiles, if confirmed, marks a major technological leap. North Korea is telling the U.S., your missile defenses are not foolproof, and your allies remain vulnerable. The stakes in the region have just been raised. The missile launch capped a series of moves showing North Korea's military buildup. Just a day earlier, Kim Jong-un ordered a 250% increase in tactical weapons production and the construction of new factories. This shift from development to mass production signals preparation for real conflict. Kim's visits to munitions plants and military sites are broadcast as propaganda, reinforcing his image as a leader ready for war. The buildup comes ahead of the Ninth Party Congress, where a hardline defense agenda is expected. North Korea is moving from testing weapons to deploying them in large numbers. The threat is no longer theoretical, it's operational. Advanced missiles and mass-produced arms make the peninsula more volatile than ever. Kim's regime is preparing for war, not peace. The world must take this escalation seriously. The world now faces a tense and unpredictable standoff. The U.S. and its allies will likely respond with joint military drills, which North Korea may use as a pretext for further provocations. Diplomatic efforts, especially South Korea's outreach to China, have been undermined by Pyongyang's defiance. The U.S. faces tough choices: more sanctions, a tougher military stance, or renewed diplomacy, none with easy answers. North Korea is expected to continue weapons testing, formalizing its nuclear status at the upcoming Party Congress. Each new test increases Kim's leverage and confidence. The lesson Kim draws from Maduro's capture: arm yourself, or risk the same fate. As long as he believes nuclear weapons are his only shield, he won't give them up. The world is left to navigate a dangerous path between U.S. resolve and North Korean defiance. The risk of miscalculation and conflict has never been greater.